Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends and fellows. How are you? I welcome you here on my training channel. My name is Abdul Khalik. Dear friends, look, we the human beings, we want the things to become easy for us, to become comfortable us, to become comfortable for us, to become not so complicated, not so intricate for us. We want to keep the situation good and pleasant, but sometimes neither it remains good nor pleasant nor easy. Why? Because we have interfered it, because with our talking, with our talks, dear friends and fellows, we often speak, to make the situation better or to feel better, but usually it in many of the situations we rather complicate the things. We rather make the things much more difficult, and for which we do have to regret and repent later on. Like, what does happen that sometime the children, the younger children, the adult children are seen having a heated debate and discussion and argument with their parents, and their parents, as a result of that, as a result of the arrogance of their children, they deprive them of their assets, of the assets of the parents. And in certain other situations, if at all the couple is if at all spouses are having a heated argument with each other, but one of them, the husband, because looking upon what their wife is saying, he decides to instantly he divorces his wife. What does happen? So all of that, I think these are all very ugly situations. It should not have happened a lot, but it did happen. Why did it happen? Because the person kept talking instead of becoming quiet. I think in many of the situations, the best response, the best ever response a person can give is that they remain silent and they don't talk. Today we are going to talk about in which situation, what are the situations where it is far better, far more comfortable, far more respectful to remain silent instead of talking. After a very careful consideration, after a lot of research, we have come to a conclusion that there are at least nine such situations where we need to remain quiet, where we should not be talking at all, where our talks could be quite dangerous for us, for we ourselves. So, for all that reason, it is far better to keep quiet in those situations. So, let's talk about those nine situations where it is far better and far easier to stay quiet instead of talking. First of all, it is the during the heated arguments. Every time there is a kind of heated argument between any two people, between you yourself, between you and someone else, between a person and their spouse, between their parents, between their boss. I have seen that some of the colleagues, some of the subordinates start fighting with their boss because during the heat of the argument they fail to understand what is right and what is not right, what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. So I think the best solution in every heated debate, in every heated argument, is to stay quiet and not to talk at all. It is even better to leave that place. And now the second thing is when you are not fully informed, when you are not fully informed, if a person is not fully informed, yet they people are talking, in this actually mean that they will be saying something very bad, something which is totally and absolutely wrong. That is why it was said that little knowledge is a dangerous thing. I think it is far better to keep waiting and to wait and to wait, and then, of course, during the wait, getting ourselves fully informed, first, and then talking, speaking then. And then the third situation, when listening is more important, only 25% is usually retained out of all what we listen. Only 25% is usually retained out of all what we have listened. So when listening is more important, I think when somebody is saying something important, which could be an important information for us. I think it is very important indeed, to stay quiet, to stay totally quiet, and to listen well what they people are talking. And now the fourth situation where we need to quiet is when you are in the presence of grief. When you are in the presence of grief, when a loved one is, suffering from grief, experiencing loss is one of the most painful parts of life. When someone we care about is going through it, we often feel compelled to say something, anything, to ease their pain. But truthfully, there aren't always words for such moments. I think it is far better to keep quiet when you are in the presence of grief. When somebody you love, your loved one, somebody you care about, is in grief. When somebody is in grief, I think any sort of emotion, whether it is the emotion of grief, whether it is the emotion of anger, or any other, it is far more important for us to somehow stay quiet. And now the fifth situation is when the timing isn't right. When the timing isn't right, timing is actually everything else. If at all we are speaking on something prior to the right time, it actually means that this is absolutely wrong. But if at all we are saying something which is which is too late, I think again here it is better to stay quiet. Either saying something too early or saying something too late, again it is very bad. So the timing is very important. When the timing isn't right, now the sixth such situation, when someone else needs the spotlight. When someone else needs the spotlight, they made the arrangement for it, but you have started talking. When somebody has arranged a meeting and they want to say something, it is far better to let them quiet, to be quiet and let them talk, and only speak when you are asked to do that, and speak as much as it is appropriate and not beyond that at all. When somebody needs the spotlight, so don't try to snatch the spotlight from them. So because in that case you will be considered a villain. Now the seventh thing is when words may cause more harm than good. In complex and sensitive situations, it's often better to offer a listening ear rather than offering the unsolicited advice. So when words may cause more harm than good, it is far better to stay quiet. When somebody is very much biased against you, prejudiced against you, and no matter what you are saying, they will distort it. It is far better to stay quiet. And now the eighth situation is when you need to reflect. When you need to think back, look back. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? So in that situation, instead of talking, it is far better to stay quiet. Life can be fast life can be fast paced and chaotic. We often feel the need to keep up, to respond immediately, to have all the answers. But when you need to reflect, it is far better not to speak at all, rather to reflect back and to look upon what was the right thing, what was the wrong thing, how are you going to correct it, in how are you going to correct it. And now the ninth and the last is when silence is the most respectful response. When silence is the most respectful response, reflect ref, respect is a fundamental aspect of all our interactions. Respect is a fundamental aspect of all our interactions. Believe it or not, there are moments when silence is the most respectful response. If at all people are using any sort of derogatory remarks against you, so instead of fighting with those people, instead of trying to equalize them, it is far better to stay quiet, or even it is even better not only to become quiet, rather to leave that place as well. So these are the nine situations where the silence is far better, far better than talking. So it is appropriate to say that in this situation, in these nine situations, silence is the best thing we can ever say and do. Thank you.